Good day, and welcome to the Narrow Gate. Thank you for squeezing in here. When Mark Zuckerberg was asked what he thought was the meaning of life, here's what he said.
What do you think is the meaning of life?
I think that, there are probably a couple of different ways that I would go at this. But I think it gets back to this last question that we talked about the duality between you have the people around you who you care the most about, and then there's like this bigger thing that maybe you're building. And I think that in my own life, I sort of think about this tension, but I started this whole company and my life's work is around human connection. So I think it's intellectually probably the thing that I go to first is just that human connection is the meaning.
Wait a minute. That can't be right. Mark Zuckerberg isn't supposed to say something that's actually good. Now, I think Mark Zuckerberg's response here, he was really onto something. And I think the reason is because he was asked, what is the meaning of life? Not, what is the meaning of existence? I believe that the meaning of existence is for a relationship with Christ. I believe that the meaning of life is for, like he said, human connection. I believe that when we're here on earth, the point is to lead others towards Christ. I think if the point was to simply pursue a relationship with Christ, that would be easier done, not on this earth, not under the restraints of sin. I think part of being made in the image of God is that we need connection. I believe that God created us because I believe that God created us because he desired to have relationships with us. And I believe likewise we desire to have relationships with each other. But as Mark says in this next clip,
and I think that it's a thing that our society probably systematically undervalues. I just remember, when I was growing up and in school, it's like, do your homework and then go play with your friends after. And it's like, no, well, what if playing with your friends is the point?
Like that sounds like an argument your daughters would make.
The sort of mindset of friendship, I think, is undervalued. I think ultimately, when it comes down to it, relationships with other people are the most real things that actually exist. The Bible teaches that at the end of your life, when you go to heaven, your riches on earth will all be destroyed. But the one thing that you can take to heaven with you is other people. Now again, I think ultimately the most important thing is a relationship with God. But again, I think when put under the restraints of living in a sinful place, we can't quite have that same connection. So I think that part of the reason human connection is so valuable is because it is a symbol of the even more valuable connection with God that is to come. Now, I think it's really cool that Mark here is realizing how valuable human connection is, but if I was there with him, I would like to ask him why he thinks human connection is so valuable. Even in the beginning, God saw that it was not good for man to be alone. Now, I don't take this to mean how a lot of people do, where they think every man has to get married, and this verse is proof of it. I think this literally means, more simply, it's not good for man to be alone. But I think friendship is also a good tool of understanding how God feels about us. Here is a clip of Jordan Peterson talking about best friends and the amount of importance that having a best friend plays.
Really, the last thing a child wants is not to have any friends, or even perhaps equally seriously, not to have a best friend. I read something so idiotic the other day that I couldn't believe it. So the newest prince, so Queen Elizabeth's, I guess, great-grandchild, is off to daycare in the UK. And in this daycare, they don't let the kids have best friends because that's unfair. I thought, you know, sometimes you see something that's so stupid you can't even believe it exists. And that was one of those examples, because it's been known for quite a long time that one of the developmental milestones that children attain, somewhere between, say, the age of 5 and 10, is they pick a best friend. And so they, and you know, the hypothesis is, well, that's unfair to all the other children. It's like, well, first of all, you can't be the best friend to everyone, because then maybe there's 1 billion children, so each of them gets 1 second. It's like, that's just not a very deep relationship. So the idea that you can be equally friendly with everyone is, it's a preposterous. But even worse, the thing that the child's doing is actually becoming, they're stepping out of their egocentricity, because their best friend becomes more important than they are. And that's a precursor for adult relationships where, you know, if you're married, well, your partner should be at least as important as you are, and the relationship should be more important. But then when you have children, it's like, they're more important than you. That's that. It's, unless there's something wrong with you.
To me, that sounds very much like God's relationship with us. Mr. Peterson says that a relationship with a best friend prepares you for marriage and having kids. However, I think a relationship with friends prepares you for a relationship with God, which in the end is the end goal. Now, I know that what I brought up in this video is not the only sort of value that is found in friendship, and I will probably later on make more videos talking about why friendship with other humans is so valuable. It is a passion of mine, so I would love to talk about it more. Of course, like the video if you liked it, and let me know in the comments, were you surprised by being able to agree with Mark Zuckerberg? Or maybe you didn't agree. Let me know if that's the case. Maybe you think the meaning of life is trying out all of the Mountain Dew flavors. If so, I disagree with you. And also, live long and prosper.